powerful Yu-Gi-Oh decks that you can get with only $40. Big dogs, back in my day, $40 used to get you something else, but I guess different times for different things. Do you want the 40 now, or do you... Here.
Thanks!
Today, big dogs, we are going to be talking about frugal Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe it's for the players that are on a budget, or possibly for the players that want to get in the game but don't spend a lot of money. You could be looking for a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck and looking for one that's good and cheap. Regardless, we're going to cover all of them. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Today, big dogs, in case you didn't know, it is that time of the week. It's Update Monday! A particular time where I trick you into thinking this is a Yu-Gi-Oh video when actually I want to make you a better person overall. For today's Update Monday, I want to talk about something pretty close to me. As someone that has slept on the streets and as someone that has had more money than I ever could imagine. Keep in mind, I thought 30 racks a year was Bill Gates money back in the day. I still do. If there's one thing that I can emphasize on, it's money isn't everything. I know a lot of times we prioritize wealth. Oftentimes it's a necessity, but I think a lot of times we forget money is a tool. It's not necessarily what we want. It's the things that it gets us what we want. Now, some of you guys may not get this just right now, and that's perfectly fine. I want you guys to come back to this video later. But for the people that are starting to wake up and understanding that money isn't everything, it actually is just a tool to be able to use, I really want you guys to get comfortable spending it on things that can get you more gains. And we ain't gotta go big. A lot of times people are talking about stocks and bonds and all that other stuff. Man, I don't care about none of that. But I'm talking about if you're trying to make some money buying candy to be a candy man in your local neighborhood. I don't care if it's using that money to keep float of a daycare business you starting up so you can watch all them bad kids for that profit. Basically what I'm saying is that at any given time, I want you to get creative with how you spend your money. When I was dead broke, no money in my pocket, I hustled my way and started a candy business. I was Tony Montana in my high school, and I actually had the same results. God damn. Oh, hey, yo. The benefit about not having money is being resourceful when you do get your money. And that's exactly what we're talking about with these particular Yu-Gi-Oh strategies. As a brokey yourself, guys, I've analytically looked at some really fun and powerful Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that you can try out on a budget. And while I don't think that these decks are going to be consistently beating the meta anytime soon, they are still some really powerful and fun Yu-Gi-Oh decks that you can play. And if you're skilled enough, you can really upset some people. All right, so it's probably easy. We just go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. If you're looking for a Yu-Gi-Oh deck that is cheap and is the best Yu-Gi-Oh deck, nothing really changes for Dinomorphia. Dinomorphia is a dinosaur type Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that is about 3 years old, and it's built on being able to pay life points in fusion summon. The big monster is Dinomorphia Rextrum, which is a walking one-sided skill drain that turns your opponent's monsters to your life points. It can get really interesting when you turn your opponent to 69 life points and you just give them the stare.
No! God, please, no! No!
And then there are other cards like Iron Thunder and Ferret Flames that are really good for Dinomorphia, decreasing your life points or being cards that can be used because you have life points. But if I'm being honest, we talk about that in every single budget, every single time. It's the cream de la crop when it comes to a budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and it's hands down the strongest budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck there is available. But of course, we gotta talk about some genuine other budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks, some decks that I would have to be really excited about. And one of them is crazy strong, big dogs. Cyber Dragon is actually a crazy strong Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I didn't think that it would go this far and be this powerful, but here we are talking about it. For reference, Cyber Dragon did top a Las Vegas regional, but that was a Cyber Dragon Fiendsmith deck. I know once you guys hear Fiendsmith in a Yu-Gi-Oh deck, all hopes just go completely out the window. But the deck is actually strong without Fiendsmith. You see, Cyber Dragon has always been good at board breaking. Special summoning Cyber Dragon to your field allows you to be able to get rid of any of your opponent's monsters in the extra monster zone for free. I'd also like to argue that Ryzeal Detonator should have been a machine monster because Cyber Dragon would have had a really good edge against them. But there's other ways around that. I hope you're not as old as me and are considering DNA surgery because Clockwork Knight is a way better Yu-Gi-Oh card. It turns all monsters on the field into machine, meaning that any Cyber Dragon monster can contact your opponent's entire board, and if your opponent does address it, it gets you Therion King Regulus, which can be used to negate your opponent's cards. But Cyber Dragon has never had a going second problem. It's really good at that. What I've always said was the biggest problem with Cyber Dragon was it was a terrible going first deck. It can do that now. Cyber Dragon actually can make a really scary strong going first board. Thanks to the Cyberdark cards like Cyberdark Realm and Cyberdark Chimera, pretty much the cards that get you your engine started, as well as get some really good cards on your side of the field, and the new monster Cyberdark Worm, which is a really good card, the deck actually summons some really powerful monsters. Of course, there's Cyber Dragon Infinity and Therion King Regulus. Something that most decks don't do is have Omni Negates. But if I were to tell you just with one card, the strategy can also make an SP Little Knight alongside of a new Light Machine monster, I'm going to butcher its name, Hasovrog, the Mechanical Fortress of Dawn. It's actually really strong for a first turn Yu-Gi-Oh play. And the best thing about it is that Cyber Dragon is still ridiculously cheap. It genuinely feels good to be wrong about certain things, and being wrong about Cyber Dragon not having a going first board actually makes it a really good budget deck that can be built for under $40. In fact, I don't think that there is a single card for Cyber Dragon that's over $5, unless you're trying to get max rarity, because then you'll have a problem. Now, before I go any further, I just want to point out that I will be putting deck list on my Patreon as a special thank you for helping me pay my editors. And if you guys just so happen to want to support the channel and get something else in return, well, there's a really special site I need to talk to you guys about. TheCaliEffect.com has just restocked, or by the time you guys get this video, is on pre-order for mats like this. Look at this. Look at this. Big dogs, if you want to go to the place that has the best mats, the best sleeves, the best everything, then be sure to go to TheCaliEffect.com and make sure to cop your pre-orders. I want to mention pre-orders of that Dino mat, as well as some other things that we have available on the site today. And speaking of Dino, that's actually the next deck. I want to go on a record and say that Dino is not a meta deck whatsoever. It still has its litany of problems, but the new Dirac cards that came out in Battles of Legends Monsters Mayhem does give the deck a whole nother avenue to pursue, and it's incredibly cheap. I believe just about all of the Dino cards to get just about 3 of everything is maybe $10, and Dinos themselves are notoriously cheap. Most of the cards come as rares and wild survivors. Sometimes we really don't care about playing the best deck in the room. We just want to play our favorite Yu-Gi-Oh decks. And if our favorite Yu-Gi-Oh decks just so happen to be really cheap, that's something that I 100% can vibe with. Especially when it actually does have something that can have implications in the Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Yu-Gi-Oh strategies hate when their boards get destroyed all the time. In fact, it's actually a really big thing. Mitsurugi uses the level 8 ritual monster, Ame or whatever, to be able to wipe your opponent's board. And some of the other top contending decks thrive on being able to destroy your opponent's board. Well, with Dirac Astro, you're actually able to do that for Diracs, except you can do that multiple times. Dirac Astro does have the ability to be able to negate a summon, which is really cool, but by banishing this card alongside of a dinosaur monster, you get to summon Dirac Meteor and blow up the entire board. Also seeing that that card is not once per turn, meaning that you can nib your opponent 3 times before they can do anything. And let's not forget about regular Nibiru the Primal Beak. I'm not sure if many Yu-Gi-Oh strategies can keep up with getting nibbed 4 times in one turn, so go ahead and make it 5 with the Dirac Trap card. Dirac Impact is finally playable. This card is almost a decade years old, and fortunately enough, because of Astro, not only is it searchable, it's easy to be able to activate, while also doubling as getting Astro into your graveyard. I know that a decent amount of Dino players have been put off because we are missing a dinosaur synchro monster that makes our combos a little bit easier, but I figured out something that actually works for the Dino deck. And you can count on me revealing the Dino deck profile incredibly soon, big dogs. And of course, guys, that's my hopium, my copium, and I'm sticking to it. But if we're gonna go back to the competitive sphere, there is one last deck I want to share with you guys. But before I get into that, if you guys want to see a super budget Yu-Gi-Oh tier list, I've been thinking about making a tier list comprised of only budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks. Go ahead and let me know, and post down below in the comment section what are some really good budget decks that I should consider putting on the tier list. They have to be $40 and below though. The last deck actually does have competitive relevancy, and it's really cheap for a $40 Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Voiceless Voice is strangely ridiculously cheap. with the most expensive card being about $6, which is more expensive than almost any other card or strategy that we talked about here. But every other Voiceless Voice card that you need for this deck being so cheap, it actually makes sense. Voiceless Voice by itself is not really a super competitive Yu-Gi-Oh deck, but I've been looking at the Yugioh cards and boy, have they dropped down in price. Making a Voiceless Voice Yugioh deck may put you over that $40 range, but this is one of the most successful Yu-Gi-Oh decks that I've talked about that is ridiculously cheap. And of course, you can always still just play regular Voiceless Voice until you get the money to be able to play Yugioh. I mean, who knows, Voiceless Voice actually might be strong too. Skull Guardian's a pretty good Yu-Gi-Oh card, I hear. Anytime a card allows you to be able to negate a card effect and then search cards, I mean, it kind of cook. The opportunities for Voiceless Voice are also endless. It doesn't need its extra deck. In fact, people at one point in time were playing branded Voiceless Voice because it's so easy to mesh together. This is one of those playground type Yu-Gi-Oh decks that you can pretty much pick whatever you want. But that's all that I have for the most powerful $40 budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks. I don't know, man. I still might call her my best eater. What you guys decide to do with that $40 is completely up to you. But one thing that I would say you don't have a decision on is checking out these other videos so I can catch you on the next one.